Am I the asshole here for refusing to stop washing my hands just because my coworker is sensitive to smells? I have this coworker who always says that she's sensitive to smells. No one's allowed to wear deodorant, let alone perfume in the office, because she throws a mini tantrum if she smells anything except clean, undiluted oxygen. Usually, she just complains to the boss, and then everyone gets a generic company-wide email saying that we are a scent-free zone, and blah blah blah. Eye roll, everyone back to work. Now, she's been extra annoying these last few weeks. She keeps saying that she smells perfume. No one will admit to wearing any. We get emails about office smells almost daily now, and nothing changes. So she's decided to take the law into her own hands, so to speak. Like 2 to 3 times a week, she starts walking up and down the aisles, sticks her head into each person's desk, takes a whiff, and moves on to the next desk, all to try to find the culprit. On Friday, she did this again. I had just come back from the bathroom when she got to my desk. She did her smell test on me and immediately lost it. Apparently, the perfume that she's been smelling the last few weeks was coming off me. After she made a scene in front of everyone, we determined what she was smelling was hand soap I used in the bathroom. She wasted enough time of my day by that point, so I professionally told her to piss off, and I'm not going to stop washing my hands because she's a hypochondriac. The way that I phrased it was like, hand washing with soap is a non-negotiable hygiene practice, and I will not stop doing it. You can't reasonably expect me to avoid that. This was Friday, and I'm dreading being back tomorrow. Our boss was off Friday as well, so I expect I'm going to get pulled into a meeting. Am I the asshole here, or are these just the Sunday scaries? In the comments, Susie QTG says, "Not the asshole. If there's an issue with the scent of the soap, whomever stocks it will have to get unscented soap. Although at this time, I'd say your workplace is justified in requiring medical documentation. Otherwise, it's time for you and your coworker to file a complaint of harassment and her creating a hostile workplace." If she actually had a problem with the soap, wouldn't she have smelled it herself when she washed her own hands after using the restroom? Bold of you to assume that she washes her hands. Sniff test is harassment. Making a scene about this issue in front of everyone is also harassment. This, match her energy. Send a message to HR this weekend to let them know that the constant harassment is creating a toxic environment. Send it every time she does it. Maybe get other coworkers to do this too, and then HR has to do something. Yeah, I would have serious allergic reactions to some perfume and lotions, but what we mostly did was stand for them to not sit near me. We couldn't stop people from wearing deodorant or washing their hands. That's going overboard. If she is that sensitive, she might not be able to work in an office. And that's probably her ultimate goal. But that's between her and HR. OP needs to document that she demanded that OP not wash their hands, and OP is not comfortable with germy hands sniffing around her workplace. Yeah, the sniff test is crazy, and the fact that this wasn't shut down sooner is crazier to me, is it not? I don't want to go into work and have the anxiety of, "Are you washing your hands today, you disgusting cretin?" That is just straight up maniacal harassment right there. I don't need that anxiety in a workplace. You shouldn't have it either, OP. She is weaponizing her hypochondria at this point, and that shit needs to be shut down quick. Your Sunday scaries on this are entirely valid because HR can see this as a don't rock the boat. It's easier to go with the hypochondriac one and come after you for this. So yeah, getting it properly documented that she is trying to force you not to wash your hands would hopefully go a long way in making your case against her here. You're not an asshole for refusing to stop washing your hands. I feel like this eventually becomes a workplace health and safety hazard in some degree. I really just feel like grubby, messy, unclean environments are going to lead to disease of some sort. It's how I feel. The hypochondriac in me hates the thought of that. Not the asshole. And now, on to the updates. I saw a few people asking for updates, so here it is. It's not too exciting though, lol. As I suspected, I got called into a meeting with my boss and the co-worker today. I work at a small company, so we don't have a dedicated HR department, and our boss handles these kinds of issues. We ended up figuring out what happened. The maintenance guy for the building put new soap in the bathroom a couple of weeks ago. That lines up with when the co-worker started smelling perfume in the office. So every time someone used the bathroom and washed their hands, they thought the smell was perfume. Probably by the time she noticed the smell and did her investigation, the smell would mostly be gone. It's only hand soap and honestly doesn't smell strong, so she could never pinpoint the source. On Friday, she happened to do her smell test on me right as I came back from the bathroom, so it just happened that the smell was still strong. My boss ended up buying new hand soap, I think to smooth things over, and placed the bottles in the bathrooms. He asked everyone to please use the new, unscented soaps until they can get the ones in the bathroom changed. The co-worker was making a bit of a scene during the meeting. She kept thrusting her finger at me and saying things like, "You don't respect me. You don't take my issues seriously." Which is honestly true, I don't take her issues seriously. There's the times that she smells something that no one else can smell, and she'll get angry at people using scents. But then I've seen her walk in the bathroom right after someone sprayed perfume and not notice anything. Last year, she also demanded everyone stop using scented detergents at home. No one I talk to has stopped, including myself, but she thinks everyone has, and so doesn't smell scented detergent anymore, coincidentally. Anyways, I'm professional at work, so while I don't actually take her seriously, I don't express that. I felt like she was just projecting her issues with other co-workers at me. We are not friends, but I don't treat her any differently. I don't even join in when people are talking shit about her, which is a lot. The only reason that I sit near her is because everyone else is asked to move within a few weeks because she is so difficult. I can tolerate her, so it's been my desk for a while. Anyways, I asked her to explain what I did that makes her feel like I don't respect her. She couldn't come up with an answer, because there isn't one, and kind of just stumbled on her words. And then I asked when I can expect an apology for embarrassing me on Friday and accusing me of not respecting her today. She ended up just walking out, and when I got back to my desk, her purse was gone, so I guess she just left for the day. Also, this didn't click until I was reading some comments on my original post, but I guess this whole situation means that she doesn't wash her hands, otherwise she would have smelled the soap right away. Glad I never had any of her stuff at the potlucks. Anyways, that's the update. In the comments, Siad says, next time she starts on one of her rampages, ask her how she didn't realize the hand soap had a smell on it in the bathroom. Gasp! Do you not wash your hands after using the bathroom? However, this must be asked in front of the entire office to be fair, right? Repeatedly. Then maybe ask everyone in the office if they washed their hands. Ask to smell if you're brave. Yep, she would have smelled the soap as soon as she dispensed it. Your co-worker is nasty. Or she carries her own soap and hand sanitizer. I never use the soap available in public washrooms as it will trigger my asthma and/or make my hands break or an awful eczema. So I carry my own little soap slivers with me wherever I go and my own small bottles of hand sanitizer. People who don't have allergies or serious sensitivities never seem to understand what those of us who are sensitive go through on a daily basis. When I worked in an office, I could tell if someone had used the washroom if they get within 10 feet of me because I could smell the soap and it would give me a headache. And that's fair enough. That is a perspective that I hadn't considered, but there are too many situations and things to consider every time a story is posted that I think it is counterproductive to have to go through the rigmarole of every single possible interaction that could ever exist. Yes, that is a big consideration that she does have these sensitivities, and she maybe has other soaps on her, but she did not specify that. She instead, as I said, weaponized her sensitivities against everyone else in the workplace. And I find it very hard to sympathize with someone that is that unhinged, that is that spiteful, and that is that nasty, that everyone that has had to sit near her has asked to be moved away from her. She is creating a hostile work environment, and the shit that is talked about her is entirely of her own doing, and she deserves it. Sounds like she's gonna get fired in the future, and if she does, she will have also deserved that. So I have no sympathy for her. Thank you for the story. Thank you for the update, OP. Keep doing you. Our next post is by user Alternative Tank, and it's titled, "Am I the asshole for telling my brother that he's an asshole for what he just did to his fiancée?" So I, 25 female, have a brother, 23 male. He's been with his fiancée, 26 female, for 6 years now. Let's call her Rita to maintain anonymity. Is that you, Taylor Swift, dating a 17-year-old? Rita has a collection of stuffed animals that she's been collecting since her childhood. Some of which she got gifted on her birthday, some of which she got for herself. Since she started dating my brother, I've grown to be very close with her, and she is one of my best friends. For her birthday this year, I gifted her 2 stuffed animals, and when she opened the gift, she loved it, and I could see how happy she was. But my brother had an ick expression on his face. I just thought that I must be imagining it, and did not bring it up at all. Their wedding was scheduled to be in November, and they were planning to move into a newer, bigger apartment. Since I was free, I was helping them move their stuff, and my boyfriend was also there with us. Rita keeps all of her new stuffed toys on her working desk or on the side of her bed. However, the older ones she used to keep in a cardboard box, I guess in her wardrobe. She found that the box was missing. Since we had planned to move some stuff first, she didn't bring it up then. Later in the evening, she called me crying, and I asked her, worried about what happened, and she told me that after me and her boyfriend left, she brought this up to my brother, and he casually told me that he had thrown away the box since it just had old junk, and he threw it away since she was too old for this. She was rightfully very upset about this. Oh, it's the Pokemon card story again. She packed the rest of her stuff, and is currently staying with me and my boyfriend since we have an extra room. She's been crying since that box had some of her precious childhood toys that she treasured. I am also very angry at my brother for not respecting her wishes and even throwing away stuff which was not his. The next morning, he came to my apartment to mend things. Apparently, he had texted that morning telling her that he had helped her move on and grow up, and she had decided to break off things with him. He came to my place in search of her to mend things, and when I got to know that she had broken up with him, I wasn't surprised or disappointed. I told him he was an asshole for throwing away her stuff, and she was right in being upset and breaking things off. Even when I was a teen and used to be a K-pop stan, he would pass weird comments about it. He had even taken away some posters on my bedroom door because it gave him an ick to look at whenever he looked at it. Now he is saying that I should side with him since he is my brother, and my boyfriend is telling me that I did overreact a bit. So am I the asshole? In the comments, Jimsy says, "I'm helping you grow up," says the man-child who can't even look at other people's things without getting emotional. Your brother is the asshole here. This was a power move on his behalf because he thinks something that brings his girlfriend joy is stupid. He does not respect her or her possessions, not the asshole. He will be very, very lucky if you do not bide your time until this all blows over, and then, when he doesn't expect it, go over to his apartment and shit-can some of his most beloved childhood memories. OP replies, "Growing up, he didn't have any prized possessions to say. His interests changed frequently, and he would quickly discard older stuff the moment he found new interests. He had a PlayStation, but gave it away to my cousin because he lost interest. The only thing he treasures is a knitted sweater that my grandma gave to the both of us, but I can't bring myself to destroy it just because he used to do it." Well then, ask him why he thinks it's fine to suck the joy out of her life, and why would she want to marry someone who would do that? Take the sweater, don't damage it, just take it, and ask him if he wants it back or if it's just childish old junk. OP replies, "She broke up with him. He has blocked me now, and it's not in his apartment. The key is with him, and he keeps the sweater in his apartment. I guess he will be going no contact, and I couldn't bring myself to even care about it." Fartmaster Champ says, "Your brother is a controlling piece of shit, and he was probably going to escalate the abuse. I'm so glad she broke up with him. What a loser. Also, your boyfriend supporting your brother is a huge red flag. The person you're dating doesn't think it's fucked up to throw away your partner's treasured belongings? Wake up. Maybe OP should ask her boyfriend which of her belongings he's planning on destroying, because if he wouldn't destroy his girlfriend's things, then why would he defend someone who did exactly that? That is a very good question, and I'm curious to see if OP does actually address that in the update. You should side with him simply because he's your brother and that you did overreact a little bit. Curious detail put at the very end there. Why is it that so many people are not able to have empathy for others unless it is something that is directly impacting them? How can he not realize that destroying or discarding extremely sentimental items is going to have a lasting and damaging effect on their relationship? There's no way. And how is that overreacting? OP just supported someone that was done dirty. Your overreaction was you saying that you weren't surprised or disappointed. You told him that he was an asshole for throwing away her stuff and that she was right and being upset and breaking things off. How is that overreacting? Explain it. I don't understand. Where's the overreaction? Did your boyfriend just load into the world and this is his first dose of, conflict? This just baffles my mind. I'm not gonna lie. Not the asshole OP. What is wrong with these two guys? And now, onto the update. A lot has happened since I last posted the previous post. First, I'll start with Rita. She and my brother have officially broken up and the wedding has been cancelled. He tried begging her and giving barely genuine apologies. She did not take it and packed her stuff. She has moved in with me until her parents arrive to be with her. They live in a different country. My mum got to know about this. She loved Rita like her own daughter, and she's actually more upset and angry about my brother than I expected her to be. She said how he should have communicated before pulling up this shit, and how he has no right to disregard her feelings. Dad is also upset, and everyone in my family is on Rita's side. He thinks everyone is abandoning him, and it was not that big of a mistake to cancel the wedding. He has now blocked the both of us. Another thing I wanted to address that some people were apprehensive about were the ages in which they got together. I made a typo. They knew each other for 6 years and were dating for 4 years. So yeah, he was 19 and she was 22. I choose to believe the former. As for me, in short, I broke up with my boyfriend. We had been together for only 1 year. After many people pointed it out on how he said I overreacted was wrong, I sat down to have a talk with him to reevaluate our relationship. I asked him why he thought I overreacted when it was my brother was wrong. He thinks what my brother did was not that big of a deal and he should have asked her and dealt with it. He also said he doesn't like my collection and wants to improve my taste. I have a bunch of K-pop albums that I've collected since I was a teen, and he finds the music to be weird, and I should find a way of discarding it. When I questioned him about his gaming console, he said that it's a hobby, and that is societally acceptable. You hear that, you K-pop Demon Hunter stans, you Jennie and Blackpink supporters? You are societally unacceptable. This boyfriend thinks you are filth. I asked him specifically if he thought what my brother did was wrong, and he said that he understood his point of view, even though he was wrong. Who is he, Marky? God. I was honestly disgusted at that point, and taking the lesson from my brother's relationship, I ended things with him. I realize we need to have partners who support our interests, which are totally not at all inconvenient and should communicate properly. He has been calling multiple times, and I have blocked his number. Now me and Rita are roommates. She had booked a European vacation for her honeymoon, completely paid by her. Tickets, hotel, etc. Now I will be accompanying her, Lamau, since she was keen on going but didn't want to go alone and had asked me. Well, both of us have broken up, and I guess it'll be a good break for us too. So thanks everyone for giving reassuring replies and advice on that ex-boyfriend of mine. In the comments, Appropriate Brief says, I have a doll and fairy collection. Does my significant other think it's a little weird? Yeah, but he built me a special place to display them, complete with custom lighting. That's what you do when you care about someone. OP says, that's so cute. My dad also had built me a shelf to keep all my albums because I had so many of them. I guess it was wrong of me to accept this trashy ex of mine would do even half of what my dad did for me. We gotta keep our standards high, for real, no cap. Worldly Grade replies, I had about 30 stuffed animals on our headboard. My hubby not only cared, but actually helped fill the space. That is how a partner supports his significant other. My husband sings Korean songs because I discovered K-pop during COVID. Every once in a while, I'll get an, okay, I'm tired of this song, but he would never actually try to kill my joy because it isn't acceptable in society. It's not about helping her, it's about control. Same with your boyfriend. Notice how he doesn't want your opinion at all about his gaming stuff. Enjoy your trip. Bingo! Even I noticed this. He thinks his gaming equipment is societally acceptable, Lamau. What a weirdo. Definitely good for her, her ex. Whatever that means. These men just want to control and have their girlfriends like what they want them to like. This story definitely made me have a lot of self-reflection on my own life and introspection as to why I thought the Pokemon card collection story where it was thrown out yesterday was not so much of a big deal. And as you guys said in the comments, it's not about the Iranian yogurt, it's about what this means. If your partner notices and recognizes how important these objects are to you, how much sentimental value they hold, how many memories, how many emotions and feelings are tied and associated to them, they realize how destructive it is to just discard them, destroy them, and then lie, obfuscate, and just never even mention that they had done such a thing. Yes, that is incredibly destructive. Yes, these men just want to have control, and they just want their partners to like what they like and what they think is societally acceptable. And it doesn't matter if it's a Pokemon card collection, it doesn't matter if it is old toys. It's a red flag to do that to someone. It's not okay. And that is a perfectly acceptable reason to dump someone, to call off an engagement, to hand them divorce papers. If they don't respect your emotional tie to things that have such great value to you, then they don't respect you and they don't respect your relationship, so why should you stay with them? This is a good learning lesson for me going forward. I should make the first strike. I should preempt my partners by throwing away their valuables before they can get to mine. Just kidding. Of course, sarcasm. But hey, thanks for the story, thanks for the update, OP. I hope you find someone that values you for you and won't do what this man did and won't do what your brother did. If your brother wants to have you blocked for you doing the right thing, that's his choice. He sounds incredibly childish and without empathy. Sucks to be him. You're still not the asshole. Thank you, OP. Good luck. Our next post is by user Lilac Swans, and it's titled, Am I the asshole for quietly packing my stuff and leaving my family's house without telling anyone after my dad threatened to kick me out? I, 23 female, live at home. I am in school and work part-time plus intern at an office. I graduated in June and I've been applying to jobs as much as I can so I can finally move out. My sister, 20 female, also lives at home but is doing school online and doesn't work. I try to help with chores around the house as much as possible, although it's difficult since I leave the house early in the morning and come home late at night. Last week, I came home and there were clean dishes in the dishwasher. I said I'm going to take a quick shower and then empty the dishwasher, and my dad went on a rant about how I never help around the house and that my sister is always the one doing everything. I explained that I do help and that just because they haven't seen me help doesn't mean that I don't. He asked me to give him an example, and I told him that I took the garbage out the night before. The conversation escalated to him saying that I should not argue any longer because he can easily make me homeless if he wanted to. I said okay and went upstairs. The next morning, while everyone was still asleep, I packed my things and left, and I've been sleeping in my car for a week. Later in the day, after I left, my parents called and my mum texted me asking me where I am when I didn't come home when I was supposed to. I didn't reply, and I blocked my entire family's numbers and social medias, and I haven't spoken to them since. They've been calling and texting my friends asking them where I am. I haven't told any of my friends that I'm sleeping in my car, so I got very confused texts from friends asking me what's going on and why my parents are asking where I am and if I'm safe and okay. I told my closest friend that I left home and that I'm safe, and let her know to tell my parents that I'm fine, but I have no desire to speak to them anymore. They've been begging my friend to disclose my location and asking her to ask me to allow them to speak to me. I went to my friends yesterday, and she told me that what I did was awful and that I should speak to them. I told her that they threatened to make me homeless, so I left of my own volition, but she's insisting that making them worry about my safety is a horrible thing to do. But I honestly just think that I gave them what they asked for. They wanted to get rid of me, so I left. Am I the asshole for leaving and refusing to communicate with them? In the comments, not the asshole. Sounds like you were majorly stressed out, and having someone scream at you in a place that's supposed to be a calm, safe environment is just not helpful at all. I'm guessing your mum doesn't know what happened. I would at least tell her. And OP says, no, she was there when this happened, and she was on my dad's side. He was the one mainly throwing the insults, but she chimed in a few times as well and had a lot to say. Info. I get your dad, but why are you going no contact with your mum and sister? OP says, I'm not close with my sister, and we pretty much never speak to each other unless we absolutely have to, and my mum was also there while this incident happened. Info. We genuinely do not have enough information to judge here. OP has not provided enough backstory for us to be able to tell whether this is the final chapter in a long history of abuse by their parents, or if this is a histrionic overreaction on their part. This is a post that's guaranteed to drum up a mountain of support for an iffy choice on their part, and I'm concerned that commenters, in their rush to support someone who has apparently been treated very poorly by their parents, are rushing to defend what could easily be a dangerous and unnecessarily rash decision. I'm concerned that there may be more going on with OP than what they have shared or are aware. The spur-of-the-moment decision to move out secretly overnight into an unsuitable living situation in order to punish their parents for a relatively small issue makes me worried that there is an underlying instability that places OP at increased risk. And yes, this was a small issue. Even in OP's telling, the threat sounds more like annoying bluster than an actual threat to make them homeless. Clearly, OP's father was wrong and is majorly the asshole. OP says, they've done this many times before. When I was 16, I had an argument with my mum because she went through my phone, and then my mum told my dad that she can't live with me in that same house and that it's either her or I in the house. So I ended up getting kicked out, and I stayed with a friend for a week until she came and picked me up and apologized and said they'd never kick me out again. Which wasn't true, because it's the one threat that gets made anytime something happens. Not the asshole, but maybe talk to your local PD and let them know if your parents try to file a missing persons report that it's a waste of time because you were not missing. They threatened to kick you out for not helping, so you left. So like, a win-win to me. Can you talk to any of your friends about staying with them while you get your things together? So what I'm getting from that comment with OP is that her parents don't respect her privacy, her individuality, and her right to, I guess, secure housing. They keep using it as a threat to have power over her. You have a problem with me looking through your phone? Well, if you don't let me look through your phone, I'm gonna make you homeless. And they did do it. They did kick you out of the house at 16. And then they say they're not going to do it again, yet they keep threatening you with homelessness every time you do something that they don't agree with, or you don't do something in time. That is abuse. That is an abusive household. Those are threats of further abuse, backed up by historical, actual abuse in kicking you out. These are not good people. I don't blame you for cutting them off. This is a terrible time to be getting kicked out of your house. So what they're doing is much worse than it has been historically, and I do hope that you can find a job so that you can secure housing for yourself and get away from these freaks. I understand that you're not so close with your sister, and that's also why, you're not talking to her either. While I disagree with that, I understand why you're doing what you do. Unless there is more to this story, I don't think she's at fault here. I think she's going to be just as much a victim as you are currently. And maybe in the future, when you have secure housing, it would be nice for you to offer that to her if and when she also gets kicked out of the house. And now, on to the update. I want to say thank you to everyone who commented and PM'd me with advice after my first post almost 2 months ago. I received a lot of helpful advice that I took into consideration when planning what to do next. A week after my post, I ended up moving in with a friend who was kind enough to let me stay and pay a very small amount of rent in return. I also ended up talking to my parents, and my dad apologized for his behavior and promised to never make a threat like that again. Which honestly came as a shock to me, but I'm glad things got resolved between us. I let them know that I am staying with a friend and paying a small amount in rent in the meantime, and that I'm in the process of finding an apartment, and they suggested that I move back in with them for free until I find a job and a place, so I took their offer and moved back home, and haven't had issues with them since moving back. I finished grad school and completed my internship, and 2 weeks ago I landed a full-time job in my field. I also found an apartment that's only a 5-minute walk away from my job. I start the job next week, and I move into my new place 2 weeks from now. In the comments, a deleted user says, "I'm always so happy when I hear a good ending. I wish you all the happiness in the world, OP." As a long-time lurker, I'm used to seeing these toxic family posts where the OP is forced to go low contact or no contact, and the asshole party refuses to apologize and doubles down. So it's nice to see a healthy resolution to a domestic conflict where the asshole admits their fault and relationships can begin to mend. Not every conflict will end as amicably. Plus, it's great to hear of the success that OP has had in her career and living arrangements. I read your previous post and realized just how often Indian parents say this to their kids without actually meaning any of it. What they don't realize is that it affects the self-esteem of children heavily. It's such a toxic dynamic that has been so normalized that they don't even realize that they are saying something so detrimental to their child's mental health. God bless that friend who offered their apartment. Yeah, that let their parents know that their blackmail was voided. But then OP just moved back in with her parents? That is so weird. The pattern will repeat itself. The OP made a rational decision. The parents knew that their threat was not just neutered, i.e. OP had a place to go, but their nuclear option would be paid back and more by the OP moving out and cutting contact. With their studies only lasting a little longer before the OP got their own apartment, the clock was also ticking on that dwindling threat. The parents had a short period of time to start building bridges before the OP cut ties entirely. I wonder if the sister was claiming to have done chores that OP was actually doing, making OP out to be the lazy one, so that she wouldn't have the parents on her back about it. Either way, that's a fucked up dynamic. Many possible situations, many different ways that this could have gone. OP doesn't clarify, so we can only speculate. It does strike me, though, as odd that they never mention the sister in all of this, when she is in a similar position to OP. She is studying and not working. How come OP is the only victim in this situation? Also, glad to see that they do have their heads screwed on, at least somewhat straight. Given that they did take OP's threats seriously, and they wound back their blackmail. They realized they were in the wrong and that they were going to lose contact with their daughter. Smart. We don't see that often enough, and I wish we did see people that think through their bullshit like these parents did, especially when they are given no contact or low contact by people like OP. It surprises me just how many people double down and refuse to recognize the damage their actions and words have caused. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your update, OP. I hope life is easier now that you are physically distant from these people and don't have to put up with their shit. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to end today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.